so the Golden State Warriors receive Andre Drummond, the Detroit Pistons receive D'Angelo Russell, and Kevon Looney or Willie Cauley-Stein, whoever is performing the worst of the two. The Warriors get one of the best rebounders of all time to rebound misses from three. Imagine a Warriors team where after Curry misses a three-pointer, you have to stop Andre Drummond from rebounding to the miss. And as for the Pistons, they will get an all-star guard who can create offense way better than Reggie Jackson's garbage ass, and a replacement big with Looney or Stein. Alright, this is going to be a long video, so I'm going to just try and speed through this intro as fast as possible, but real quick, this list is not going to have any future projections in it. This is basically just a list of the top 100 players leaving the 2018-19 season going into this season. Nobody that I think will be better this year will get a boost because of that, and also players that are not going to be playing this season, basically Kevin Durant and John Wall, will not be on this list. Players who are going to be injured for a little bit will make the list, and it will not be a knock against them. And there are also no rookies on this list. This is going to be a 3-part video, so make sure to like and subscribe for the other 2 parts. And with that, let's roll the intro.
Absolutely incredibly with the acrobatic alley-oop.
Real quick before we start, I want to shout out the new episode of the Hoopscast. Me, Mojo, and a special guest did a episode on some potential trades for the upcoming season. It was really fun with a lot of really interesting trades in there, so please go give that a watch. With that said, number 100 is Fred VanVleet. Fred just had a phenomenal playoffs after his kid was born. He is one of the best shooters in the game, off of the catch and off of the dribble. He is also a capable shot creator and playmaker, and in a bigger role for Toronto this year. I expect him to average around 15 to 17 points per game, probably not on the greatest efficiency in the world, but still. And number 99, we have Bobby Portis. Bobby, I feel, is very underrated as a scorer. I really hated to see him go when the Bulls traded him. He was honestly my second favorite player on the team, but he can get you a solid 14-7 with good shooting from all over the court, and he's a good energy guy as well. Number 98 is Ricky Rubio. Ricky is one of the best playmakers in the NBA, though he doesn't force it. He isn't one to try and pad his assist numbers. He is also a capable scorer. He can finish inside, and his mid-range pull-up game is very good. His 3-ball is less than desirable, but he is a solid defender. And 97, we have Derrick Rhodes. Derrick Rhodes broke out last year and looked like a legitimate NBA player again and became one of the best 6-man in the game, putting up 17 points a game, and he also had a phenomenal 3-point shot. My only fear is that that season was a bit of a fluke, especially his shooting, but hopefully he will not have that problem. I expect him to contribute really well for the Pistons this year. At number 96, Danny Green. Green is the perfect example of plug and play. He had a sometimes patchy playoffs this year for Toronto, but overall he provided good shooting and good defense, and that is pretty much the essence of Danny Green. The Lakers overpaid him, but he should fit in well with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Number 95, Joe Harris. Joe is one of the 5 best shooters in the NBA, and that is no hyperbole. I would say he is pretty much only behind 2 shooters in Golden State and Buddy Hield. He shot 47% from 3 on 5.1 attempts a game, averaging 14 points last season. He was one of the main reasons that the Brooklyn Nets were a surprise team last year. Number 94, Justice Winslow. Justice had a breakout season last year after being utilized as a main ball handler and distributor. For most of his career, Winslow was a really good defensive player with almost no offensive abilities outside of just hitting an open layup or throwing down an alley-oop, but with the ball in his hands last year, he was able to average 12, 5, and 4, shooting 38% from 3 on 3.5 attempts. Great defense with some playmaking and scoring ability. Number 93 is Colin Sexton. Sexton had a great rookie year, averaging 17 points, and he shot a surprising 40% from 3. His playmaking needs some work, but he has already established himself as a really good scoring guard. Number Number 92 is Marcus Smart, who is another phenomenal role player. Marcus finally had a season where he shot well from 3. He shot 36% on 4 attempts a game. He also got 4 assists a game and played great defense as per usual. He's also a great hustle guy, and he is the guy that every team should want. He does all the little things. And speaking of doing all the little things, number 91 is Thaddeus Young. Thad does exactly that. He is a good defender. He can take it off of the dribble as a power forward. He can kind of shoot. It's not the ideal shot you want for your offense, but at least during the regular season, he can't be left open. And most importantly, he is a great teammate. He has been credited as the reason that the Pacers did not fall apart after Oladipo went down with his season-ending injury. He is a great locker room presence, and his impact goes well beyond his stats. Number 90 is Marcus Morris. Morris is solid defensively, and offensively, he is a really good stretch 4, shooting 38% from 3 on 5.5 attempts per game last year, and he is also a solid one-on-one scorer with a good face-up game. He is a rare role player that also has some creating ability. Number 89, Patrick Beverley. Another great 3-and-D guy and a good teammate and presence on the court. He has a little bit of a crazy streak, whether it be real or manufactured, and it can give his team momentum and sometimes intimidate the opponent. Number 88 is Eric Bledsoe. Some of y'all might feel that this is too low, but I personally have a very low opinion of Eric Bledsoe. He seems to me like wasted potential. He's a good defender and slasher, but a really bad shooter, not much as a playmaker, and he completely falls apart in the playoffs. He is basically like Lonzo Ball with just more touches, and that's probably a giveaway that Lonzo doesn't make an appearance on this list. Number 87, Bam Adebayo. Bam has finally been given an opportunity to start with Hassan Whiteside being traded this year. He is everything you want out of a modern center on defense. Shot blocking, switchability, enough size to handle bigs in the post, but not so much that he is slow-footed. And on offense, he is a consistent lob target, good rebounder, gets 3 offensive rebounds a game, and apparently he has worked on his shooting, which showed a small amount of promise. So there is a real chance that he is way higher on this list than he is currently for me, because he is in the conversation for most improved player for the upcoming year. At number 96, Kyle Kuzma. Once again, this is probably going to be controversial. I made a whole video on this, so I don't feel like going too deep into it. Basically, Kuz is an 18 point per game scorer on okay efficiency overall, bad shooting efficiency, and he is bad or adequate at most things outside of that. Some okay scoring with bad everything else is the 86th best player in the NBA in my opinion. He's basically like Andrew Wiggins if Wiggins wasn't a ball stopper and played mostly off ball, if that makes any sense. Number 85 is Serge Ibaka. Serge is a really good defensive role player. He is both a good shot blocker and very switchable, and on offense his 3-point shot has completely fallen off. Hopefully it comes back. But I recall his mid-range game being really good in the playoffs. It seemed like anytime he was open, he nailed it. And he's a good roll man, and he can occasionally post up. Number 84 is Jonas Valanciunas. Jonas, for the first time in his career, was finally embraced for what he is in Memphis. It's a small sample size, but he put up 20 and 11 in 19 games in Memphis, and he has a lot of potential as a 6-man in the future for the Grizzlies. Good rebounder, post scorer, can hit an open mid-range shot and sometimes an open 3. Number 83 is Jarrett Allen. He's a really good shot blocker and a bright young big man, a good rebounder, good athlete, and has shown some potential as a shooter. Harrison Barnes comes in at number 82. He is kind of like a better version of Marcus Morris, but at small forward, good 3-and-D guy with some creating ability. Barnes is a good bit better of a creator than Morris. He has a solid mid-range game, he can post up, and he's a pretty solid ball handler. At number 81, DeAndre Jordan has fallen off pretty significantly, but he is still the same guy that he has always been, just not quite at the same level. Rebounding, defense, overrated defense, but defense. And of course, he is a lob target. Number 80 is TJ Warren. Ironically enough, he is pretty similar to Kyle Kuzma. He is a scorer and not much else, but unlike Kuz for last season, TJ is a pretty good shooter. He shot 43% from 3 on 4.5 attempts a game. So with that simple difference, he gets a few spots ahead of Kuz. Number 79, Spencer Dinwiddie. He's one of the best 6 men in the game, really good scorer, also really clutch. He can score in a myriad of ways. He is also a solid playmaker defender, and with his size, he can play both guard positions. Number 78 is Derrick White, who really bursted onto the scenes in the latter half of the season, and in the playoffs, but he pretty much is the definition of all around. There are not a lot of things that he can't do as a point guard: good defender, playmaker, shooter, shot creator, damn good teammate, and leader. Number 77 is Josh Richardson, who finally gets to show off his skills on the big stage in Philly. Good 3-and-D 2 guard with some creating ability. He averaged 16 a game with Miami last year. I don't expect quite that much production in Philly, but his shooting split should improve. 76 is Derrick Favors. Derrick kind of got screwed over when Rudy Gobert became a really good player, and because of that, he as a natural center in the modern era of basketball was forced to play the 4 and get less minutes because he didn't fit with the much better Gobert. But now in New Orleans, I think he can go back to his old 16 and 10 with good defense playing center for them. 75 is Derrick's teammate, JJ Redick, one of the best shooters in the NBA. He will definitely be a crunch for the Pelicans' limited space offense. 74, Joe Ingalls is a really weird player, not just because he looks like he has no business in the NBA, but also because his game is just not all that common. He isn't a great ball handler, but he's still a good playmaker, getting almost 6 assists a game. He's an okay defensive player, great shooter, and capable shot creator at times, especially when guarded by Paul George. PJ Tucker comes in at 73. One of the most underrated players in the NBA in my opinion. He is a lethal shooter out of the corner and a really good versatile defender. He is also a good rebounder for his size, and he's a player that any team should want to have. Number 72 is Brook Lopez, who I was conflicted on where to place him. His shooting at his size is very rare, but outside of that, he is an average defender who can be a liability on a switch, and he is a bad rebounder, but that spacing is valuable, so he could be higher on my list depending what time you ask me. Number 71, Marc Gasol will probably be another controversial placement. It was something that was mentioned a lot when I posted my list on Twitter, but I personally feel that Gasol is pretty much washed offensively, and defensively he can be a problem on the switch. As of now, Gasol seems like a good post defender, alright rim protector, and a sometimes adequate floor spacer. His passing is still okay, but he can't score in the post anymore, can't shoot all that much in the face-up, and his pick and pop game is weaker than it has been in the last couple of years. Number 70 is Paul Millsap. Paul is a good defender, has a high basketball IQ, he can score in the post from time to time, good ball handler, had his first league average shooting season from 3, and he's a pretty good playmaker for a 4. At 69, don't laugh, Jalen Brown. I made a whole video on why the Celtics should trade him in the upcoming season, but he is a good defender, okay shooter, and really athletic, but everything else needs a good amount of work. Hopefully it will improve, but as of now, Brown is unfortunately number 69. Otto Porter Jr. at 68 is one of the best shooters in the NBA. Had a great defensive rating last year, and in Chicago, he massively boosted their win percentage when he went there, averaged a career high in points, averaging 17.5 points in 15 games on 48, 49, 90 shooting splits. Now that's 15 games and obviously some inflated shooting numbers, but I think that shows how good of a fit Otto is in Chicago. He is one of the better glue guys in the NBA. Number 67 is Gary Harris. He had a bit of a down year last season, but to be fair to him, he was injured, but he averaged a very efficient 17 the year before, so I think fully healthy he can be one of the best 3-and-D guys in the NBA. And for the last guy of Part 1, Montrezl Harrell. Harrell is one of the best scoring and specifically pick and roll big men in the NBA. He averaged 16 and 7 last year on 62% shooting, and he was in contention for 6th man of the year. Unfortunately bested by his teammate Lou Williams. He isn't the defender that some people seem to think he is. He isn't awful, but he isn't like good as some people seem to believe for some reason. But yeah, that was part 1 of my top 100 players in the NBA. Make sure to subscribe for numbers 65 through 33 and then eventually 32 through 1. That's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.